Here we go. Senator Sacchieri files resolution to reaffirm Oklahomans' right to opt out of Real ID. Okay, we'll read a little bit more of this in a second, but here's what I want to say about this. When the government control my ability to get on an airplane, I'm not free. You're not free. I don't care whether you feel like, oh, I love to travel and I'm going to travel, so I guess I just have to do this. When you continue to say, I just have to do what the government wants so that I can be free, you've nullified your argument that you're free. And I guess if you don't care that you're not free and you're willing to do whatever the government tells you to do in order to do what you want to do, I don't have anything in common with you. And I don't know that we can even be friends, because I couldn't even possibly understand that notion that I'm just supposed to stop and do whatever somebody else asks me to do in order to do something I want to do. So our friend Senator Sacchieri today filed Senate Resolution SR18 reaffirming Oklahomans' right to opt out of the federal Real ID program under the principles of federalism protected by the 10th Amendment. The resolution urges the state to ensure a meaningful choice between Real ID compliant and non-compliant identification options, particularly by safeguarding personal and biometric data from unwarranted federal access. SR18 raises concerns over the collection and retention of sensitive biometric information, such as facial recognition data required for Real ID compliant driver's licenses and identification cards. Though Oklahoma offers both compliant and non-compliant IDs, the resolution notes that the state currently collects, stores, and shares personal data in the same way for both, creating what it calls a distinction without a difference. And that's true. We've talked about that before. When you put your thumbprint down and you have your picture taken for your regular Oklahoma driver's license, the reason why they moved to Service, Oklahoma, is so that they can do a biometric photo. And you have your thumbprint. Remember the story I told you of coming back from Las Vegas, going to the Las Vegas airport, not having to show my boarding pass because they scanned the back of my driver's license. Did you know we had a Real ID? Were you informed of that? Did you realize that the government basically took your data without your consent? And you can say, yes, you consented when you got a driver's license, but even I was not aware when I got my driver's license, believe it or not, to understand what was actually going on. I knew it was wrong for them to get my thumbprint, but I couldn't figure out how to fix that at the time. 60% of Oklahomans have declined to participate in the federal Real ID system, said Senator Sacchieri. Senate Resolution 18 is about protecting Oklahomans' privacy and preserving their freedom to choose. We affirm our citizens' right to opt out of the federal Real ID system, and we must also ensure their personal information remains secure. This resolution calls for a real and coerced choice without unnecessary exposure of private data. This resolution calls on the state to continue offering both Real ID compliant and non-compliant forms of identification. It further urges the state to prohibit the sharing of personally identifying information, including biometric data, collected from non-compliant ID holders, such as unless such sharing is authorized by judicial oversight. SR18 emphasizes the importance of preventing coerced compliance with the national identity system and upholding Oklahomans' constitutional rights.
Well, Jenny, you probably consented somewhere along the lines of that, fine print or terms of service, or, at some point, somewhere along the line, they got a legal consent, from everybody. You just didn't know because there's paragraphs of legalese that no one understands.
Well, and Lisa makes a really good, how else do you get around it if not by, you're going to go to work on horseback? We are effectively forced to get one, and then they're going to force us to get on an airplane. And here's the crazy thing. Everybody's seen some movie about World War II. Everybody. I'm sure of it. I can't imagine how you couldn't. And I would imagine that so many people, even liberal people who love government intervention, I can't imagine them standing there not on the edge of their seat going, that's not right, that's not right, as a person pulls up to the East Germany gate as they're trying to escape East Germany during the Second World War, and they're trying to get out, and they have this papers, please. And you have to stop, and the guy takes your papers, and you're just sitting on the edge of is that person going to be able to get through the gate because they got their papers? How's that not happening now?
Well, I'll tell you.
Do you think that a real ID, because here's the propaganda, here's where the propaganda comes in. Oh, but it's going to keep illegal aliens from flying, and it's going to keep bad people from doing stuff. Do you know that the Congress is already aware of the fact that Chinese gang members have been creating real IDs for themselves? Congress is aware of this, and yet you have Kristi Noem standing out there going, well, you better get your real ID in order to get somewhere if you're going to fly. Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can answer that for you, Jenny. So we've offloaded over your frog in a boiling pot slow kill. We've offloaded our liberties for safety and security. But on top of that, the only thing that matters now to the masses, and this is my opinion, I'm not saying this for you or anybody else, the only thing that matters is the impact on their decadence. If their decadence is impacted, then there's, all hell is going to break loose. They don't care about, a check-in with the Nazis over here, because they know they're going to be standing in line watching their videos, watching YouTube or posting something while they're waiting. It doesn't matter. So as long as their decadence isn't impacted, they don't care. And that's we live in that state now. We live in a state of total decadence.
There's no personal responsibility. Nobody wants the personal responsibility to stand up and say, you can't have that. We don't care enough about that anymore. What we care about more is I get to go to Italy versus they have all my stuff.
Yeah.
We just don't care enough. We only care about doing what we want to do, not about being secure in our persons or papers or anything else. We just flat don't get it. And by the way, we are having an expert on Real ID who will be here the second Friday in next month. So May, the second Friday in May. She's an international, I think. Yeah, I want to say she's an international expert in Real ID, and she's going to tell us how bad this is.